I got to ask the people too, where's that confidence level with the Detroit Lions coordinators? Because I saw this question asked in a national media platform, and the question was, should Detroit Lions be a little bit more concerned about their coordinators? They're coming in with two brand new coordinators, effectively offensive and defensive, and Calvin Shepard and John Morton. And that these guys are not the same as their predecessors, in which there was a reason why they're saying that the prior two coaches were at the top of everyone's wish list for head coach, and why these coaches, in terms of the current for the Lions, are going to have to prove themselves this year.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to like about John Morton, and one thing that I've really appreciated about him is what he's going to do with this offense, and he wants to keep it explosive. But I want to ask you, before we get into a little bit of John Morton, it is these coordinators. Should there be more questions or concerns about or worries about the Detroit Lions going into next season? Or is this thing just as easy as push button, like we came into last season? You knew, there's not a thing to worry about. It's Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
No keys, push to start.
No keys, push to start. No
and
hesitation.
as Lions fans, I think we need to have confidence in these two guys, because one, they've been around the building already, and especially in the case of John Morton, he was here during a very pivotal time in the Lions transition. In 2021 going into 2022, he was here to help out the offense and help install some of the stuff that they ended up doing with Jared Goff in terms of the offense, in terms of what he liked to do and things of that nature. He was a very big part of that process, and he's even said as much, with his interviews with Dan Miller and things of that nature. So I think just based off his track record, based off the fact that he has experience not only at the NFL level, but at the college level as well. So he's coached for a very, very long time, multiple levels. He's been an offensive coordinator, and although that didn't go well, there are circumstances that point to why that didn't necessarily go well. The Giants organization just being a pack of dumb motherfuckers. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but they didn't let him hire his own coaches when he came in, and the talent that he had is not the talent, that he's going to get with the Lions. You're getting a much better plate of talented guys on this side of the coin. So I'm not necessarily worried about a John Morton, especially because he's going to come in, he's going to do what Goff likes. He's not going to stray away from what works, and that's what we need to keep in mind with both of these coordinators. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's not a lot that you need to do. Yes, of course, you want to come in and add your own nuances. Yes, things will look different, but you got one of the best running attacks in the NFL, arguably the best. You have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and you have a quarterback that is probably the best play-action quarterback in the league. So why the hell would you stray away from that? Yeah. I know fans want to see, the Lions run the ball more, and maybe that is a possibility. Maybe y'all do get Jahmyr Gibbs as the lead back going forward, but I think that you will still see a lot of Monty in this offense, and I think that you will still see some trick plays. I don't think the trick plays are dead just because Ben Johnson is going. And that's one thing. That's one thing a lot of fans been wondering. But overall, offensively, not a care in the world. And I feel the same defensively too, but we'll just start with John Morton first.
Yeah. And just briefly, we'll just spend a few more minutes on it just to go over this, because I like John Morton, what he brings to the table, and should be music to everyone's ears, because we have the dogs to make this thing happen. When you're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs as Weapon X, Jameson Williams and the speed that he brings, and now you're bringing in a guy like Tesla, we understand the sure hands of Amon-Ra St. Brown. It makes me excited via Tim Twentyman to hear John Morton say he's eager. Not just, hey, I'm going to do this. Well, sure, we're going to take advantage of. No, I'm eager to maximize explosive plays with the Lions' offense. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He says, listen, his number one overall principle this season is going to be to make sure to limit turnovers. That should also be music to everyone's ears, especially considering how things ended in Washington. So when you talk about, are they going to run more? He talked about the fact that he can't wait, and he has been, and he's going to get even more into laying out the offensive plan for 2025 with one run game coordinator and offensive line coach, Hank Fraley.
Yep.
And so that, to me, tells me that this is going to be a team that is probably built very, very stout in the run game. And why not when you got a weapon like a Jahmyr Gibbs?
Exactly.
But the second principle, though, is explosive plays, in which Tim Twentyman said that Morton eagerly talked about this thing just last week. And he says this is via Morton. I think you have to have explosive plays. You have to be able to do that. I think there's a certain amount of explosive plays you need in a game. And explosive I always think 7 or 8 plays explosively per game is really, really good. And he said he usually views a pass play of 16 to 17 yards or more and a run play of 10 to 12 yards or more as an explosive play, just so you understand. So there's a lot to like here about what Morton is going to bring to this Detroit Lions offense. And it was largely the, in addition to comments of Sean Payton and Dan Campbell, just to add to it, Sean Payton says this about the new leader of the Detroit Lions offense. He's super passionate. He works his tail off. He was a pass game coordinator with the Broncos last season, and he's great with film study and ideas. He's one of those guys that will bring you red zone, third down, and a lot of information.
Ooh, I like that. And shout out to Braylon Edwards. He is somebody that also knows of John Morton. He shared time with him, I believe he said, either with the Seahawks or when he was with the Jets. But he also spoke to the fact that John Morton is very hands-on. When he first, met John Morton, he was kind of like, what is this guy? What is he going to tell me at this point in my career? But the more he spent time around him, the more he realized, like, oh, okay, this guy, he knows this shit. And not only that, he's very hands-on. He's very involved. He's very vocal. And that's something that, while we know Ben Johnson was a very smart guy, you don't exactly know how vocal or how well he explained the information to some of the guys on this Lions offense. And that's where John Morton, somebody with a lot more experience, I feel like he'll flourish in that role. And once again, you don't have to fix a lot with this offense. It's already ready to go. We're used to explosive plays. That's what this offense is predicated on. You have two of the fastest players, if not the two fastest players in the NFL, in Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams, man. And you have a top 5 quarterback. Yes, I say a top 5. Sue me. A top 5 quarterback in this league in Jared Goff. This offense has this offense has unlimited possibilities, man, and I don't think John Morton is going to come in and try to drastically change that. I think he realizes what he has.
And you know why he wouldn't, though? It's because when you heard people, there were national people who were first to the podium to say, hey, Detroit fans, chill out. Yes, you're losing a good mind in the Wizard, one offensive Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
But he said, you got to understand, this is Dan Campbell's offense. And furthermore, what does Dan Campbell say? What are the Lions saying? That John Morton had a lot to do with instilling this original offense at its foundation. That's why I don't think that a lot is going to change. And that fact that I saw someone in the chat say, let these coordinators be inform their own identity. Well, with one John Morton, I actually think that this is his identity. Tim Tonyman says Campbell this is via Dan Campbell, said that Morton actually was the one instrumental in putting the original version of the offense together in Detroit in 2022.
Yeah.
When he was on staff as a senior offensive assistant, and they did explosive plays then, and they did not have necessarily the weapons that they got today.
No, absolutely not. And like I said, he came in at a very pivotal moment when they were installing this thing. So he knows off the rip what Jared Goff likes, what he doesn't like, how he can succeed, and how he will have trouble. So for him to have that intimate knowledge already coming in, I think it only bodes well, because you need that offensive coordinator quarterback relationship to be A1. And I feel like Jared Goff has a lot of trust in somebody like a John Morton who, like I said, with Ben Johnson came in and helped establish the offense to what he likes to do.
And I see Damian McClin, and I'm wondering, who are you a fan of? Because I don't believe that he's a Lions fan with the way this is worded. He says, y'all don't have a top 5 quarterback. If you think that quarterback y'all got going to get y'all to the Super Bowl, it's nuts to me. And it's interesting because the very next quote I was going to read was, what Dan Campbell said John Morton is going to be able to rely on. He says he was one of the pivotal pieces of helping us put this together, this offensive version for Goff, with Goff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that John Morton was the one who sat down and literally kind of paced this thing through, worked this thing out. And that would also entail some of the terminology with the Jared Goff and getting him comfortable with this. He said, so that was so big. But then also there were so many other things that during the game plan, weeks of game plan, the ideas that he had in the past game, going into weeks, getting ready for opponents was big for us. A lot of things that we used. And it's interesting they left us in there too. Man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Shout out Dan Campbell, man. Him and Holly looked like they were having some fun last night. But it's interesting to see how he's putting this together. And I just saw it. I lost the comment, but they stated the one thing we do know about Dan Campbell, even if it's his friend, is that if there's a change that needs to happen, he's not going to necessarily wait too long to make that.
Yeah, no, we seen it with Anthony Lynn, man, and to a degree, Aubrey Pleasant as well, man.
I'm confident in both of these coordinators, man.
I mean, it's hard to fuck this up. I ain't gonna hold you. It's hard to fuck this up. Like, you got to literally try to mess this up. Like, this Lions offense is set, ready to go. It's already top of the league in terms of points scored. So, yeah, I'm not worried at all. John Morton to be fine.
And I do believe that Goff, I don't believe we're going to see any type of regression with him. There's some people who believe we see a regression with, Ben Johnson going to the Chicago Bears. I don't think we see that. I believe that Jared Goff has proven that he's a tough quarterback who bounces back from his downs. It's just a matter of now John Morton and that first principle he stated, how can he continue to keep this team in a position or put them even in a better position, especially in the playoffs, to minimize those turnovers.
Yeah, and
I'm so glad that's principle number one for him.
I'm not worried about Goff. All you got to do is keep him upright, and I think we all know that. And with the dogs that we've gotten, you saw how the Lions drafted. They put a big emphasis on the trenches, and it is for that reason. You have to keep a strength, and as long as Jared Goff is upright, he's going to be able to make plays with these receivers that we have. So
Jared Goff's going to have the cleanest jersey this year, I'm telling you. So clean.
You think so, man? Talk to
so
me about
fresh
it.
and so clean.
We're talking about
clean.
this offense. Just before we get into some Pistons talk, JB Smooth, what's the reason in these coordinators? I saw a lot of people are definitely confident. They believe that this thing's going to go off with a hitch. I'm glad we got to talk about it and really show the fact that John Morton is really, one of the fathers of this Detroit Lions offense. And I do agree with you, KG. My confidence is at 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That this thing continues on. And if not, that it actually gets better in some regard.
It could.
What up, though, JB?
No, I just wanted to add that I'm with you guys 100%. I have a strong confidence in both of these coordinators. Obviously, KG's been there before, this past season as well, too. So just putting him in this role now just helps set out a lot more. But it all starts with the foundation, and this house has a very strong foundation, and it goes along with the players and the coaches. If the players believe in this organization and the coaches, they're going to play at the best of their abilities. And that also goes with the coaches as well, too. They see the talent that all these players have, and they are extremely excited to even get there to start the season. Hell, I feel like they're ready to start camp right now as it is, too. And not only with Morton, but David Shaw as well, too, being added to this team. Like, they've had
big shout out.
Get me fired up more then. Get me fired up more then, JB.
They've had a huge amount of success, not only at the professional level, but at the collegiate level as well, too, in college. Like, They've had many wins. Like, this should be an easy transition for them to just go on and have as much success as you can with this upcoming season. I feel like they really want the season to start tomorrow if they could.
Yeah.
Especially when you lose in the playoffs the way you did. We know that that's the part of their identity. Remember after San Francisco, Dan Campbell was just like, yes, we wish we go out there and play again.
Yeah.
All of them were like that. Amon-Ra was like that. And that's what you want, this team that's going to go out there and honestly fight for all that's supposed to be theirs. But Nick Hedigan is the one who said earlier with the John Morton conversation, if you don't work out, we have seen MCDC make quick adjustments, take control to shore it up. So if he's not working, I'm not worried. But I do believe it's going to be a situation that works out.
Shout out Nick Hedigan.
And even if it starts off slow, I mean, he's not going to get fired. Like, he's going to have a full runway. They already said he's going to have autonomy over calling the plays offensively. So they have full trust in John Morton to go out there and execute the job. And he's experienced. So I'm really not worried. I mean, Ben Johnson, for as great as he was a first-time coordinator. And that's what we got to remember. John Morton is coming in with hella experience.
I see Hoof in the chat, too. He says, Hoof-hearted. He says, anyone that doesn't think Goff is good enough to win rings just doesn't understand football and should keep their mouths shut to prevent themselves from looking like idiots in public.
Who said that?
Oh, boy.
Hoof.
Hoof. Hey, shout out Hoof.
One of my favorite chat names.
Yeah, man. Hoof-hearted.
He really loves, like, horse hoofs.
He also, I believe it was him that said he kind of doesn't have faith in Kelvin Shepherd, and that's something that we gonna have to talk about, man.
How you ain't got faith in KG?
We're gonna
right, y'all fuck with me, dog. Come on, man.
We're gonna get into it more tomorrow. And I saw somebody